The Jets versus the Browns turned out to be, well, pretty much what we expected, but not in the way we expected it.
Two special teams kickoff returns?
The Dolphins shocked the Bills when they didn't suck.
This team is DTF, Jim.
And the Texans walked away with a crazy fourth quarter comeback. Welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus. That's Kevin. 3 teams scored more than 40 points. Brian Daboll coached his last game for the Giants, and ESPN loves money and hates its customers. It was weird, it was depressing, it was week 10 in the NFL. Let's get it. The Broncos finally found a way to win a game without a fourth quarter comeback. Struggled the entire game. They were building an arc and driving nails with their forehead. Bo Nix was picked off twice by Caillou Blue Kelly.
Great job, Caillou.
Geno Smith was sacked 6 times, and every time, the Broncos snuck a $5 in his pocket so he could take his friends to the movies after. The Raiders got into the end zone in the first quarter, and just like the soft touch of a woman, they'd never see it again. 14 punts, 3 field goal attempts. Someone stole the ref's yogurt out of the break room fridge, and he began a quest for unmitigated vengeance. Chip Kelly's play sheet was upside down the whole game, and nobody noticed. There were 22 penalties in this. Who is to blame?
69.
Nice. Broncos fans were booing. Nick said he's been booed before, usually after a trip to his barber. It was windy as hell, and the ball moved an inch. There you go, ref. Really earned that paycheck. Where was Brock Bowers in this? He only had 1 catch. They called him an old soul, which makes sense. He looks like he collects model trains. He looks like his social security number is 1. Max Crosby was playing with a black hole under him, which is better than the black hole within him, playing for the Raiders. Welcome to Germany. I am a jelly donut. Jonathan Taylor ran a blitzkrieg, 286 total yards, 3 touchdowns. He had the longest run of his career after he ran into a pile's butt and slipped out the backside. It was the longest run of the season by anyone. He took so much land, Europe sat up straight. The Colts jarred the ball loose from Michael Penix, and it's never a good sign when your opponent travels with choreography. White guy with 2 white guy names, Alec Pierce, got tall in double coverage for a score. The Falcons kept pace with human tank Tyler Algier and Drake London, who's got the catch radius of a bubble boy. Daniel Jones had a bloody mouth, and no one really seemed concerned. Just a little good-natured internal bleeding. He looked like he put on lipstick in a falling elevator. He looked like he went down on a rototiller. Swallow some Band-Aids and get back out there. Jackson Dart was running buck wild. He ran untouched for 2 touchdowns. He said he likes contact, but I'm guessing his brain juices disagreed, because eventually he was very much touched. The Bears forced a fumble, and Dart left with a concussion. Take it easy there, Tua 2.0. Russell Wilson took over, and you know what that means.
Unlimited diarrhea.
Let's ride.
Coach Potato with a beard did everything he could not to let Wilson throw a pass. Conservative, sure, but also statistically sound. Caleb Williams sparked a rally by the Bears. Thunder Buckets got running for mass yardage and found Roma Dunze alone and pretty in the end zone for points. Williams' rickety brisket painted the sideline for another score. And Brian Daboll had to feel a lump in his throat, or wherever his brains are. The Danger Witch and black nail polish were going to be the death of him. It's not the way he wanted to go. Curled up in Jackson Dart's lap as he ignored him and played Xbox. But perhaps it's what he deserves. Watching Daniel Jones make a playoff run from his couch. The Dolphins took the ball first to show their confidence, which was immediately undercut by a false start and a timeout. 5 yards and a minute lost before the game clock even started. They are confident. The Dolphins committed to the ground game like a fat kid to cake. Devon Achane had all the yards. The sexy ones, the fugly ones, the ones that have a nice personality and you keep them close in case you need a ride or help to move a couch. 225 in total, plus 2 touchdowns. He was a fantasy messiah. The Miami defense was playing out of its dolphin mind. They forced 3 turnovers and shut the Bills out for 3 quarters. The Bills went no huddle, and then they went no football. Josh Allen fumbled after a tush push that lasted nearly 20 yards. Tushes aren't meant to push that far. You have pushed too close to the sun. This can't possibly be because they fired their GM, right? If they lose next week, hire Chris Greer back and fire him again, just to be sure. The Vikings committed 8 false starts in their own stadium. The announcers became mystified by it.
Wow, that's 4 false starts today for Minnesota. And another false start, that's 7 false starts at home. This is the 8th false start by Minnesota.
I'll tell you who I blame. JJ McCarthy and that husky-ass voice of his. McCarthy has a game day alter ego. He's named 9. Possibly after a misunderstood request from his girlfriend. There's nothing wrong with an alter ego. Lots of serial killers have them. McCarthy says 9 lets him channel his rage of growing up a white man in America who could afford to go to Michigan. Testify. They said the Ravens study Lamar Jackson's skeleton, which sounds gross and wet. How they even got a camera in there is beyond me. The Vikings fumbled a kickoff to themselves, only to fumble it again to themselves. That's a BOGO on fumbles. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Everyone is wearing purple and white. This guy has rage. He looks like that guy who plays the guitar at the cookout. For the 2nd straight year, Kevin Stefanski gave up play calling duties. Consistency. The Browns had a new play caller in Tommy Rees, best known for looking up when someone shouts, "Hey, are you Tommy Rees?" Let's check in with him now.
That's one of the worst opening drive sequences I think I've seen this season.
In between 6 sacks and inspiring next draft's quarterback prep work, Dylan Gabriel threw touchdowns to David Njoku and waste of resources Jerry Jeudy. The Jets shaped their offense around their strengths. Anything but Justin Fields. The heat of the meat came from the Jets' special teams. Kene Nwangwu returned a kick 99 yards for a score, and Isaiah Williams with a 74-yard punt return. No one was more thrilled than Justin Fields, who filled the sidelines with inspiring words. Yo, we don't need to do no work. And true to his word, he did not. Fields completed 6 passes for 51 yards and an interception. The forward pass is overrated. Fireman Ed was there. Ironic that he dedicated his fandom to something that won't stop burning. What is the identity of the New England Patriots?
This team is DTF, Jim.
What's more impressive is how he found out. How can you even sit, man? Receiver Kyle Williams scored his first pro touchdown, 72 yards.
DTF.
Travion Henderson ran for 147 yards and 2 scores.
DTF.
On 4th and goal.
DTF.
Let me get it out, I wasn't done. Stephon Diggs, you know what? No. Baker Mayfield threw 3 touchdowns, 2 to Tez Johnson and 1 to Emeka Egbuka, meaning 4 rookies scored touchdowns in this game. Mike Vrabel has really set a culture with the Patriots, and that culture is working. It was young versus not so young. Tyler Shuck is the 9th quarterback to start for the Saints since Drew Brees, and coincidentally, the same age. Rico Dowdle scored a touchdown. Were there pumps coming? No! The well is dry. Mark Schlereth picked an odd time to pitch his psychosexual My Little Pony horror fan fiction.
That is the kind of stuff that I dream about at night.
This game had everything. Commercials, boredom, a center that snapped the ball to his nutsack and then acted like nobody saw it. Shuck threw touchdowns to Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson after J.C. Horn fell down on both plays. I guess the pre-game wind sprints through the Butterfields were a bad idea. It was a horrible start for baby giraffe Davis Mills, a man who's never lost to a turtleneck. He was picked off in the first minute, and the Jaguars piled on. Parker Washington made a wow grab in the end zone and returned a punt to go ass first into the end zone for his second. Davis Mills put a sock on his arm just to know how feet felt And it quickly turned into an impromptu puppet show featuring themes like how to deal with the loss of a loved one and fentanyl addiction. The man is a storyteller. The Jaguars were up by 19 points in the fourth quarter, but much like your grandpa, they couldn't keep it up. Davis Mills led a 26-point campaign to take the lead, tossing scores to Jaden Higgins and Dalton Schultz, and using his legs. His legs? His neck, I believe. But his legs? They said Jacoby Brissett sees a therapist, and I'm guessing by the end of this game, he was passing her card out to the whole team. The Seahawks were like a rooster on cocaine, up way too early. Their defense discovered the recipe for Jacoby Brissett, extra crispy. Tyrese Knight knocked the ball free from his giggle push twice, and DeMarcus Lawrence returned both for points. He was the right guy in the right place at the right time. Or really, anybody could have run that in. I could have, as long as I had time to stop for snacks along the way. They let George Holani touch the ball, and he is either an unstoppable machine or a very stoppable machine.
With his sixth rushing, making his first rushing touchdown this season.
This game was over before halftime. The Cardinals were digging for gold, and all they found were more shovels. In a very tough division, it might be time for this team to
get a therapist.
Matthew Stafford threw his 400th touchdown, and then added 2 more. He wiggled like his balls were full of electric jizz. He was doing historic stuff. Move over, Lincoln. It's time to put Stafford on Mount Rushmore. Did Lincoln ever throw 400 touchdowns? The best he ever got was a hole-in-one. We were introduced to Land Ref, not to be confused with Air Ref, who keeps shitting on my car after I wash it. Nate Landman caused another fumble. Landman, have you met Land Ref? You'd make beautiful land children in your house with a landline. After the loss, Mac Jones said, "At this point, we've got to try and win every game we play in." What were you doing before? In a horrible mismatch, not seen since a meteor versus the dinosaurs, the Lions dismantled a wounded Commanders team. Jahmyr Gibbs scored so many touchdowns he ran out of dances. There was a visit from a failed steak salesman. Bold of him to show up wearing a Colin Kaepernick jersey. I look forward to the halftime performance by the Epstein Files. It was all fun and games until Marcus Mariota tripped over his giant fucking tie, and everyone in the cheap seats died of starvation. This guy can spend $300 million on a ballroom, but he can't buy the Commanders a new stadium? Unless that's where the Commanders are going to play. Oh, I get it now. Ballroom. I wasn't hearing it before. The Lions gained nearly 550 yards of offense after Washington displayed the worst defense since January 6th. It was Sunday Night Football, and everyone was wearing yellow pants. Lad McConkey drew first blood. Behold, Lad the Impaler. Does he have an extra large helmet or an extra small body? He looks like a lollipop. Snoop Dogg was there. I think he's everywhere, actually. It's just a matter of whether or not you find him. He's the Where's Waldo of gangster rap. The Steelers' offense had the rhythm of a drum set thrown down an escalator. Aaron Rodgers was picked off twice. He said he was humbled, and I kinda doubt that. Thanks to the Disney YouTube dispute, I missed the first half of this game. I did not have all the enjoyable content that ESPN had to offer, like Monday Night Football and End of List. Instead, I was in the woods creating dioramas of the Last Supper using the carcasses of woodland creatures until the fairy that lives on my shoulder and tells me to drink reminded me that my neighbor has cable and weak locks. Luckily, I was able to watch after halftime. What did I miss? Oh good, nothing. The worst thing about sports are the points. They called Eagles GM Howie Roseman the trade father. What a thrill it must be for him to see the spoils of his consummate roster construction. 3 points. This game eventually yielded points. The Eagles scored on 2 plays that made it look easy, infuriatingly easy. You starved us all night and then casually produced a cake. I will not forget this. I will eat that cake, but I will not forget this. Scott Van Pelt said he'd be joined by the star of the game after. Who could that even be? Father Time? A stiff drink? This game was like watching a military dog hump a leg. First off, thank you for your service. Mostly, you just wanted it to finish and stop looking you in the eye. No one walked away from this one happy. Thank God nobody saw it.
And now the Saw Pretzel of the Week.
Yummy.
This week, the pretzel goes to Tyrese Knight, linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks. It was DeMarcus Lawrence who got the defensive touchdowns in Week 10, but it was Knight who made them possible. He forced both fumbles and had the second most tackles for the Seahawks. Knight had to deal with a knee injury and a heart issue earlier this year. He's finally feeling healthy and he's making big plays for his team. So kudos to Tyrese Knight. Stay salty, my friend. Thanks for watching Shut Up Football. Please say hi to your mom for me, and we'll catch you next week. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
DTF, Jim.